NLC threatens indefinite strike over fuel subsidy removal. House committee questions security heads over border security. Man calls for help following kidnapping of wife and children. And away from Nigeria, Madagascar opposition denounces an institutional coup d'etat. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I'm Aisha Salihu. We begin with labor matters, where a week after its two-day nationwide warning strike, the organized labor has threatened to begin an indefinite strike if the federal government fails to meet its demands. The Nigerian Labour Congress has given a 21-day ultimatum, which will expire in a week's time. The workers' union said the proposed strike was necessary following the failure of the federal government to provide palliatives to assuage the Nigerians' hardship because of the fuel subsidy removal. The Nigeria Labour Congress said the industrial action, which may commence any day from next week, would lead to an indefinite shutdown of commercial and economic activities across the country. NLC Assistant General Secretary of the NLC, Christopher Onyeka, told The Punch that the FG was wrong to share a bag of rice to a dozen citizens while reportedly giving 100 million naira palliative to each member of the National Assembly. Among other demands, the NLC and the Trade Union Congress were asking for wage awards, implementation of palliatives, tax exemptions and allowances to the public sector workers, and a review of the minimum wage. Through the FG, although the FG made a commitment to restructure the framework for engagement with organized labor on palliatives, the 8-week time frame set for the conclusion of the process expired in August with no action taken. Chairman, House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on International Boundary Disputes between Nigeria and Cameroon, Benny Lara, says the House is concerned about the state of security agencies on the nation's borders. Lara said this at the ongoing investigative hearing on the boundary disputes between Nigeria and Cameroon on Tuesday in Abuja. The report.
Following complaints by Nigerians living at the borders between Nigeria and Cameroon and the hardship encountered due to incessant incursion into the nation's territory by terrorists from neighboring Cameroon over disputed territories, members of the House Ad Hoc Committee began investigation to get an insight into the matter. The chairman of the committee says the hearing has become imperative since the communities in contention are Nigerians and the peoples are Nigerians. She says it is important to understand the role of paramilitary and the military in ensuring the protection of Nigerian citizens in the disputed area in line with the ruling of the International Court of Justice as it concerns the disputed territory.
A series of lingering boundary hotspots across the Nigerian-Cameroon boundaries, which stretches up from the Lake Chad region down to the Cross River estuary. We recall that we did the first phase of this interactive session for the Danare-Biajua axis, following which the committee visited Danare communities in Cross River State and held a public hearing in Cross River State to investigate and find the facts for us. On that visit, we met with the executive governor and all the relevant stakeholders in Cross River.
The Director General of the Nigerian Boundary Commission, Adamu Adaji, in his submissions, blamed this disagreement in the disputed territories to lack of understanding of international laws by members of the affected community.
When we were tracing the boundary, we had to come to take over some communities of Cameroon that fell on the Nigerian side. We have part of the Guria, Mokoge, Yende, Rumzu villages that were now relinquished by Cameroon because they were found to be on the Nigerian side. So if there's any Nigerian territory that is now falling on the Cameroon side, we do the same.
Point of the judgment. But along the line, when they came to Rumske, whether you are aware, Attorney General, or you're not aware, when they came to place beacons in Rumske, which Nigeria gained from Cameroon, which is a tourist center, a mixed commission the watershed is missing. I'm quoting because I was hours on the field with the staff, former director of National.
Members of the committee were also satisfied with the response of the Commission and the Attorney General's office as they suggested alternative means to resolving the dispute.
There seems to be maybe some doubt in the judgment, because if you are using a watershed here and then you are coming and saying these people came down from the valley and now you are using the valley.
We should try to be as patriotic as we can. Whether you are affected today or you're not affected by your decisions today. The thing that is lacking, the very basic ingredient that is lacking in this country is patriotism.
Present at the hearing are the Army, Air Force, Navy, NSCDC, Customs, Immigration, and DSS. The committee is expected to submit its report to the House for further legislative action.
The kidnapping scourge in Nigeria is continuing to hit many families across Nigeria as a mother and her two daughters were kidnapped in around Galadima district of the Federal Capital Territory. The husband, a staff member of the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority, said the incident occurred when his wife and the children were driving home. After alerting the police on the development, efforts were made to track down the kidnappers without success. According to him, the kidnappers have already demanded for 100 million naira ransom to release the mother and two daughters. And now the Minister of Transportation, Saidu Alkali, has inaugurated the first cargo movement from the Lagos-Ibadan rail corridor during an official tour of the rail corridor on Tuesday. The minister kicked off the tour at the Ebute Metta station before proceeding to Apapa for the launch, then traveled to Ibadan using the 157-kilometer rail corridor. 3 coaches of 30 wagons were loaded as the inaugural freight movement. The Nigerian Railway Corporation said it would start with 3 coaches per day, with its managing director noting that the corporation had the capacity to scale up the numbers. This effort is expected to decongest the Apapa port as shippers moved 92.28% of Nigeria's total exports and 60.77% of imports through the facility in the first quarter of 2022. With the flag off, the Nigerian Railway Corporation said 3 trains of 30 wagons will be lifted daily out of the ports, thereby decongesting the port environment. The minister said the freight train would operate on a single track temporarily pending when the customs scanner would be removed, disclosing that the ministry is interfacing with the customs to remove the scanner. The Delta State government has outlined the procedure it would adopt in the distribution of palliatives to citizens to cushion the effects of petrol subsidy removal by the federal government. Secretary to the state government and chairman, State Subsidy Palliative Committee, Kingsley Emu, at a news conference in Asaba, revealed that the state would adopt a distribution model of 40% of 500 Delta State Independent Electoral Commission wards in the state, with 10% reserved to show up or ban wards. He further said that 25% would be distributed to heavily impacted people, consistent persons living with disabilities and widows, while 20% would be for poor and vulnerable households and 5% left for contingency for the local government areas. According to the SSG, every local government would receive 696 bags of 50-kilogram rice, while maize would also be distributed to poultry farmers across the state.
What we have done after His Excellency appointed the steering committee that I have announced here, we sat down and looked at the distribution of what we have. I think it's about 17,400 bags of rice. So far we have received 13,800. We still have a shortfall. But having said that, we can commence distribution in some areas because we have it in good authority that they will pay. They will deliver those bags of rice, the balanced bags of rice to us. We've also been informed that there's also about 16,500 trucks, bags of maize that will get to us pretty soon. I hope I'm correct with that figure. Will get to us pretty soon.
Still in in line with palliatives to help cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has commissioned 70 new luxurious buses to ease movement of civil servants and other residents in the state. Unveiling the metro buses at Borno Express Terminus in Maiduguri, Governor Zulum said the second phase of the intervention is to alleviate the suffering of commuters occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy. The new buses, specially acquired for this purpose, comprise of standard-sized buses and larger buses to accommodate a greater number of passengers. Governor Zulum noted that the second phase of the intervention in the transport sector is to alleviate suffering due to the removal of fuel subsidy.
I want you to maintain this very important point and ensure that you bring down the cost of transportation. The cardinal objective of establishing the mass transit program is to reduce the hardship of the community.
Meanwhile, in the face of the current economic situation in Nigeria, there have been renewed calls in Benue State for youths to embrace skills acquisition and entrepreneurship. With the federal government already wooing investors to Nigeria, Benue residents have admonished the youth to acquire skills that will make them employable for self-reliance. Jimmy Azande spoke to a cross-section of Benue residents in Makurdi. Let's take a look at the report.
The 3% report today on weekend.
The idea of waiting for white-collar jobs has left thousands of high school graduates stranded on the streets, thinking of how and where to survive. These residents blame that state of unproductiveness on poor academic mentoring in Nigeria and said this is a time to correct the mistakes of the past.
You discover that certificate is not working any longer. Besides that, that is why nobody should go to school with the mindset that after graduation, I will come back and I will be employed. To call on all the men, every man worldwide, that we need to continue to be man enough. And particularly in Nigerian situation that we find ourselves now, economically, things are very difficult.
Because the topic today on entrepreneurship, that is the way to go. Even without the certificate, that you can now augment yourself to do one thing or the other. Today is not all about the certificate, but what you have upstairs.
The message of entrepreneurship is for humanity, for man, woman, for states, for governments, anybody who is interested in the development of the human race.
I told the young coming youth that there is no business that can give you money like farming. Politics is a waste of time to myself. I believe in farming more than any other business because there is no business that will give you what farm will give you, as far as I'm concerned.
While a greater percentage of the Benue youth still wait for white-collar jobs for survival, these opinion leaders are concerned that the best way to go is to think in the line of self-development. Jimmy Azande, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
And now to politics. The opposition People's Democratic Party in Katsina has decried the judgments of National Assembly Election Tribunal nullifying the election victory of its party candidates as federal lawmakers. Abdullahi Yamadi reports that the party's 2023 Campaign Council Chairman, Senator Ibrahim Sauri, says the court's judgment will be appealed.
Recently, the National Assembly Petition Tribunal in Katsina, headed by Justice O. Ogunforua, invalidated the election of Aminu Ahmadu Chindo of the PDP representing Katsina Central Federal Constituency and Ismail Elha representing Kankia Kusada Yangawa Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. The basis for their disqualification was the alleged presentation of forged primary school certificates. Senator Ibrahim Sauri said the verdicts were a miscarriage of justice, calling on their supporters to be calm, and the judgment will be further tested.
The appeal court, in its ruling on President Tinubu's credentials, rules that credentials are secondary and is a pre-election and judicial matter. But with the Katsina State Tribunal, It's not the case. Because 2 of our honorable members were denied justice because of their, as in perceived, school certificates, primary school certificates. What a pity.
Senator Rory is worried that the disqualification by the court is hinged on primary school certificates.
2 of our senators who approached the tribunal with convincing proofs and evidences were shown the way out by the tribunal because of pure judicial injustice. What the learned judges gave us reasons were never legal but personal, without referring to any court of legal interpretation.
The party said it will explore all legal avenues to challenge the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal, upturning the victory of its members. Abdullahi Izuma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at effects of deplorable state of Benin, Onitsha, Warri Expressway. More news when we return. Do stay.
Welcome to Trust TV, where we document the Nigerian story. Our programming showcases the rich culture and diversity of Nigeria. We strive to amplify the voices that make our nation unique. Our programming is designed to take you on a journey through the different tastes of entertainment in our country. We showcase the best of Nigerian culture, from traditional craft to cutting-edge technology. Our team of expert journalists are dedicated to unveiling the intricacies of our culture and telling the untold stories that binds us all. And let's not forget the food. Nigeria has diverse and flavorful cuisines, some of the favorites to millions across the world. What is Nigeria without its people, their passions and their talent? Trust TV is not just a channel, it's a platform that brings you closer to everything that makes Nigeria great. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is a news update on Trust TV. And let's take a look at a recap of some of our major stories. We told you that NLC threatens indefinite strike over fuel subsidy removal. Plus, House Committee questions security heads over border security. And now to more news. Residents of Difa town in Niger Republic are appealing to governments across the region to improve on the security situation in the area in order to guarantee safety of lives and properties. They spoke to Trust TV's Adamu Ndoje, who filed in this report from Difa town in Niger Republic. The report.
In Difa Central Market of Niger Republic, women spend times in fish stores waiting for buyers from the Lake Chad after being hit hard by increasing extremist violence over the past few years. The region's economy is also cracking under the weight of insecurity and climate change.
Life here in Difa is not easy. We live in insecurity. We don't have jobs. The climate is deteriorating. Livestock farming, agriculture, trade, all is not going well. We're very scared because sometimes we hear gunshots.
People are hoping for relief from insecurity and mounting economic and social problems that have almost destroyed the entire life of the people in the town. Niger is the poorest country in the world According to the 2020 UN, the Human Development Index, with nearly half of its population living under $1 per day from Difa town in Niger Republic. Adamu Ngulde, Trust TV News.
Now, travelers on the Benin-Onitsha-Warri Expressway have decried the bad condition of the roads in Edo State. The roads have been in a deplorable state for years, with negative implications on the socio-economic well-being of the people. Hamido Yegbade, who was in Benin, files in this report.
The traffic gridlock became unbearable as vehicles plying the Benin-Onitsha-Warri Expressway were grounded to a halt, leaving travelers to groan. The travelers lamented that they wasted several hours in the traffic, which disrupted their journey and thwarted their plans. They also said that the bad condition of the road exposed people to serious security risks, especially at night.
So obvious. Some people will sometimes spend 3 days here, sometimes 4 days. As you can see now, there's no road, there's no way you can go. So it's a very annoying situation in the country. Very, very annoying.
See our road. See Johnny, where they go. Since morning, Johnny was supposed to take me 2 hours 30 minutes. Now it's almost 6 hours. The 6 hours I don't hang for road. My motor don't sing for potopoto. I beg, as I talk out like this, I must talk, and the way it take be for me, you don't hide me.
I beg federal government, the road is bad. People they spend 2 hours, 4 hours. Some motor they destroy. The road is not good.
They need to come out and look for what is happening, because sometimes we spend 5 hours here at a spot. We can't go anywhere. At the end of the day, sometimes we spend a night, we spend a day here. So at least let the federal government come out and help us. We need the help. Let the councillor, let the chairman, let them go out and tell them what is happening. Let them come here and see how people are suffering. For a whole day, you spend 5-6 hours at a spot. It's not fair. Let the federal government and let the state government also come out to do something. I believe with them, we can be free. Sometimes they rob us on this road.
Some residents lamented that the bad condition of the intrastate roads in Edo State is making life difficult for them and wanted this addressed. Amid Ojegbade, Trust TV News.
Action Aid Country Director Andrew Mamedu wants governments at all levels to seek relevant partnerships to address the high rate of poverty in Nigeria. In a chat with journalists in Abuja, Mamedu said having 133 million people in multidimensional poverty in a country of 200 million population does not only call for a major concern, but it is a threat to national security. He calls for interrogation of the recent data from the National Bureau of Statistics, which said that Nigeria's unemployment rate has dropped to 4.1% in the first quarter of 2023.
133 million persons are living in multidimensional poverty. Recently, we got a shocking figure, that our unemployment rate has reduced. Poverty is man-made. If it is man-made, all we need to do is, it's about redistribution of our wealth and ensuring that the poorest of the poor is able to be accounted for. There are two things we ask from government. One, the Constitution guarantees that protection of life and property and the welfare of the citizens. Those are the two things we ask from government. Guarantee that to every citizen, then whatever you want to do, it's a social contract. So you are there because as citizens we agree for you to be there, and we will hold you accountable. You are not there as Lord and Master, you are there as a public servant.
And now, away from Nigeria, the Madagascar opposition has denounced an institutional coup d'etat orchestrated by President Rajoelina after a series of court decisions which, according to it, favor the head of state candidate for the re-election in less than 2 months. In a letter received Tuesday by the Electoral Commission and consulted by AFP, 10 candidates in the presidential election accused the head of state of manipulating institutions to favor his election to his second term as the head of the great ocean island Indian. Madagascar people go to polls for the first round of voting on November 9. The second is scheduled for December 20. 13 candidates are in the running, including Andry Rajoelina, 49, who came to power in 2009 thanks to a coup d'etat. In recent days, a series of decisions from the Constitutional Court, the country's highest court, have, according to the opposition, deliberately cleared the outgoing president's horizon for the vote. This game of musical chairs was validated on Saturday by the Constitutional Court. The same day, the court rejected 3 appeals demanding that Rajoelina's candidacy be declared invalid for lack of Madagascar nationality. The decision, published late in the evening, deemed the request filed in September by 3 opposition parties inadmissible at the end of June. Information leaked to the press revealed that the president was naturalized French on the sly in 2014, triggering a controversy in the country. According to Madagascar Nationality Code, he would then be supposed to lose his Madagascar nationality. Without this nationality, he can neither lead the country nor be a candidate for an election. And finally, to sports news, Nigeria's Super Falcons forward Desire Ugochi Oparanozie has announced her retirement from football for both country and club at the age of 29. Oparanozie was included in the squad that represented Nigeria at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, which started in July and ended in August. Oparanozie had a successful career in the Chinese Women's Super League and represented Nigeria's national team on different occasions. She started at Bayelsa Queens and later played for Delta Queens and Dovenselar Lesespo. In 2012, Oparanozie transferred to Rossiyanka in the Russian Women's Football Championship. She had a successful stint there, playing in the UEFA Women's Champions League and scoring a goal. After that, she moved to VfL Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga for the 2013 to 2014 season. And with that, we've come to the end of the news update at this hour. Do not forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms. Join our YouTube live stream for more news, program, and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thanks for your time.